Okay, so welcome back. One thing that we will need to be able to do is to get a user based on an email address. So let's go ahead and create a function that allows us to get back a row from our table based on the email. So I'm going to get user based on their email. So let's create a function, and this function, of course, this method is on user model, and we'll call it get by email. So we will need to provide an email, a string, and we will get back a pointer to a user, and of course an error. All right, an error because maybe the user doesn't exist for that particular email. So let's create our query like we always do. Okay, so nothing strange here. So what I will do is to say select ID created at name email password hash activated version, okay, from users. And of course we will specify that we want a particular user that has this particular ID. All right, so that's our query. So let's go ahead and actually create a user. All right, so we'll use this to store our user. And so let's actually execute the query. So we'll have, of course, a context. And it will be context that with timeout, of course, context that background, and it will also be for 3 seconds. Okay, so we have our context. Let's defer calling our cancel function, and let's actually perform the query. So m.db dot query row context. Right, we should get back a row. All right, we should get back a row or some error message. So we have our context, we have our query, and of course we have to provide our email, since that's what we need for our placeholder. Okay, so what is returned? Okay, we're gonna put that in our user. So we're gonna start off with user dot name ID, that is. And then we're gonna have, of course, user that created at. We're going to have user dot name. We're going to have user dot email. We're going to have user dot password that hash, we will have user that activated, and we will have user that version. All right, so once we have those, then we can proceed to check for any errors. So if error not nil, then there's a possibility that the email that was used does not correspond to any valid user. So we're going to check to see the type of error. So error that is, and we'll specifically be checking to see if the error is a SQL.error no row. So SQL.error no rows. Okay, so let's say that. So my errors, not error. Okay, so errors, and let's return nil if that's the case, and then let's return an error record not found. Otherwise, we will have a default, and the default will be return nil followed by error. Okay, so that would be the end of our however, I am getting an error, so expand on operands. So what am I missing here? Well, okay, I see where I went wrong. It's actually switch. I made a mistake. Switch. Okay, good. I know I'm not going crazy. It was a spelling error. Okay, so assuming there are no errors, then everything worked out. We have a return value, a return row. And so we're going to simply return the user, and then we'll return nil. Okay, so that's it. We have our so am I misspelling my DB? Let's see here. Let's try again. M dot DB. Oh, okay. User model. And so now I can say m.db dot. Okay, so that's two mistakes. All right, so that should be all. Everything looks okay. And that's how we get a user based on their email, which is a very handy thing to have. All right, I'll see you in the next video where we will create our update method, whereby we can update the user's information. I'll see you in that video.